and all eyes are on Parliament as the Finance Minister will be delivering his budget speech at 2 o'clock this afternoon. For more, we cross to our reporter Nompumelelo Siziba, who's live from Parliament. Nompu, good afternoon once again. So other than being one of the toughest budget speeches yet for the Finance Minister, analysts are saying that this budget speech is all about credibility.
Indeed, it is about credibility. As we know, in the past few weeks, South Africa has lost some credibility. And so it's going to be the Finance Minister's job to actually regain that trust and credibility and confidence. But to talk further about this, I'm joined by economist Tabi Lioka. Thanks very much for joining us, Tabi. Just tell us, what do you think will be the highlights of the budget?
I think firstly to see to what extent they revised down their GDP forecasts, because if you remember last year they had 2% this time last year. Then at the medium term budget statement they had 1.5%, and whether they will go sub 1% in the same vein as SABC and World Bank and IMF. Now what this also informs us is the extent to which the revision in terms of revenues going forward, if they think that GDP is lower than their estimations last year, that means that revenue collection will also be lower. The problem here is that it also widens the deficit, and now we want to see to what extent will the minister either increase taxes or cap spending, or even either cap spending or increase taxes, and what that does to the deficit.
So where do you think they have room and possibility to raise taxes?
So we may see personal income tax and also VAT, but that is very contentious given the political climate. This year we have the municipal elections, and we haven't had an increase in VAT in a very, very long time. But an increase in VAT also means that we could recoup about 15 to 20 billion rands. So it is quite a significant amount. We also could see sin taxes increase further. Fuel taxes, fuel levy also increase. I don't expect to see corporate income tax, only because corporate profit growth has been quite sluggish, and also I don't expect to see dividend tax either.
Now, it's a very tricky situation. We have the drought this year. The World Bank estimates that at least 50,000 South Africans are going to go into poverty or are in poverty already. And obviously we have the social grant situation. We have about 16 million beneficiaries. Presumably, the minister is going to have to cater for people who are experiencing higher inflation. How is he going to strike the balance?
It's going to be a very, very tough job. I think that it's for South African consumers, we have to swallow the bitter pill, and hopefully in a couple of years the economy will recover. But I don't see the consumers actually getting let out. I think on social grants, I actually think that we need to start looking at ways in which to reduce the dependency given the financial constraints, and that also includes, or at least means, that more and more people need to be employed. So we need to start looking at ways in which to employ and also educate, rather than creating this dependency state. But inflation is a reality. We could see inflation increase to about 7.8%, 8% towards the end of the year, and that is a problem, especially when you look at the wage increases. The 3-year wage agreement that was settled last year. If you look at the previous wage agreement, it's CPI plus 1, but CPI was comfortably within the target band. But right now, if we see CPI getting closer to about 8%, that's a 10% increase. So it puts further pressure on the fiscus.
Now, I've often heard analysts saying that we need to bring the public sector wage bill down. But under the circumstances that you've just described, how would we bring it down?
So unfortunately, we can't bring it down because legally, there's a legal agreement. So the agreement is binding. It's for the next 3 years. What we can do, which is very difficult, and I don't think it's politically very popular, is that we reduce the size of government. We make it lean, mean, and efficient, and move those workers who were in government to other sectors of the economy, and also beef up maybe the private sector, create new jobs. I think also this black industrialist could also play a role here in terms of absorbing the very skilled labor that we have in government. But our government currently, it's too large, it's bloated, and maybe with this the increase in the wage bill will make us think about ways in which to become creative about reducing government. I mean, I think he will announce further job freezes, and maybe those roles which are open but not occupied, so vacancies could actually be frozen as well. You could maybe see a retirement, those who are nearing retirement to maybe be forced to, or asked nicely to retire early. Those are the things that could make a huge difference.
All right, Tabi, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. That was economist Tabi Leoka, just giving us her thoughts and feelings about what may come out of the budget and obviously what also needs to be done. It's back to you, Natasha, in studio.
Thank you, Nompu. Well, certainly her sentiment seems to be ranging across the board.